So the thing that we're making today are face masks, and they are made to go over N95 masks that hospital workers use. So you can use these as face masks on your own, but it protects people that are around you more than yourself. So these are actually made to go over the N95 masks so that they don't have to take off their N95 masks every time that they see a patient. That way they don't run out of N95 masks and they can just take off these cotton ones and wash them after they're done. So you want to get cotton that's you can't really see through. Flannel's good, but today we're going to be using a pattern that I found on Joanne's website. So you're going to take a tape measure. Here, I'm going to move everyone down. You're going to take a tape measure and you're going to measure out 9 inches by 7 inches. And then you're going to cut it out and it should look something like this. And you're going to have the wrong sides facing together, which is weird because it's usually the opposite way. So after you're done measuring 9 inches by 7 inches, you'll have this piece of fabric, well, these 2 pieces of fabric, and then we're going to measure out the straps. So today we're going to be making 2 types. We're going to be making ones with straps and ones with elastic. Some people prefer straps, some people prefer elastic, so it just depends on what the hospital needs. So for the straps, we're going to do 1.5 inches by 40 inches, and to get the 40 inches, you can fold your fabric in half, and so we're just going to measure that out. Here, I'm going to move you closer so you can see me. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get my gauge so you guys can see it better. Now we're going to do the 20 inches, which will end up being 40 inches. And if anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, so this is 40 inches now. And then what I do to make it easier is I just cut them out at the same time, both the straps. So you're going to need 2 of these straps. So again, we're going to do 1.5 inches. And then the last piece we're going to cut out is 1/2 inches by 6 inches. And this is for the sides of the mask. Okay, and now we're going to cut it all out. Then we have the 6-inch piece right here. And then once you cut these in half, you'll have two 40-inch pieces. Ta-da! Okay. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna pin the first fabric that you cut out. You're gonna pin it wrong sides together. Okay, and then it should look something like this. Don't know if my pins are really visible, but I'll hold it up to the camera. There you go. Okay, and now I'm gonna get my sewing machine. There. Okay, so I have some purple thread in here because that's the strap color that I'm gonna use. That way you can't really see the stitches. And I have it set to a 2-inch stitch length. And so what I like to do, because it makes life easier, is I like to just measure out where the foot hits and start sewing there. Sorry if there's a little bit of shaking. Okay, and now we're all done with that. So you're just going to trim the edge of the threads off so that they don't appear later or fall out. Okay, so moving that aside for the next step. So once it's all sewn on the sides, it should look like this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to pleat it. So I'm going to move you all down again. And we're going to take our gauge, our tape measure, our ruler, and we're going to take another pencil. I'm using a blue one so it shows up better. And we're going to mark out 1/2 inches, 1 1/2 inches, or no, yeah, 1 1/2 inches. And then we're going to do 1 inch. And then we're going to do 1/2 inch. And then we're going to do another inch. And then we're going to do another 1/2 inch. And don't worry if you're a little confused, we're going to go over this again on the other side. And then we're going to do another inch. And then the edge should be 1 1/2 inches. Okay, now we're going to do the other side. And we're going to do the same thing. So again, 1 1/2 inches, 1 inch, 1/2 inch, 1 inch again, 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and then the edge should be 1 1/2 inches. So then it should look like this. You've got little marks on the sides. And now we're going to pleat them by pinning them together. So what I like to do is I like to match up the markings and then just put my finger underneath it like this and pinch it. And then we're going to take a pin. We're going to go into one side of it like that. The other side. And it should look something like this. I like to match up the seam so that when we put on the other things, it doesn't look weird and you can't see it. And then we're going to just repeat that step with the next set. And you can do most of this without sewing. If you really don't know how to sew, you could use a stapler if you really need a mask, because they are suggesting that everyone wear masks now. Okay, and then when you're all done, it should look like this. I tried my best to get it all matched up, and then we're going to do the same to this side. So again, we're doing the same thing we did to the other side, and we're pinning in the pleats. I'm going to redo that one because it messed up a little bit. Okay. Okay, and with that, that's the last pleat. There we go. It should look like this on both sides. So now we're gonna sew it again. Let me bring my sewing machine over. Okay, and then so what I like to do is match it up with the stitch that I made previously as best as I can. It just makes it look cleaner. And don't forget to clip your threads. Sorry, my chair's squeaky. Okay, so then it should look like this. And now I'm going to move you all over to my iron. Okay, it's my lovely iron and ironing board. So the strips that we made previously, we're going to take those over here, the 6" by 1/2 inch, and the, oopsies, sorry about that, and the 40" by 1/2 inch. And we're going to fold them in half. So this just makes it a lot easier for when we're pinning it on and we're sewing it so it stays flat. And that way we can make the straps. We're kind of making bias tape right now, if anyone knows what that is. And since this is cotton material, it's a lot easier if you turn your iron up to the cotton setting, which is pretty warm. And that way you can just do a single pass over it, because we're just trying to make a mark on here for the halfway point so that it's easier to fold over later. And if you do have bias tape that you'd rather use, makes the process quicker. You just need the right width. And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put it in the chat. Okay, so when we're done, it should look like this. It's half the length it was before. Well, width, not length. So we're going to do it again to the next one. Okay, now we have both 40" pieces done, and we can set those aside for later. So we're going to do the same thing with the 6" pieces. Okay, and then we should have both pieces. I'll move you back over. Okay. So we still have this, which we did before. So these 6-inch pieces that we cut out before are for the sides right here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pin these on. And it should overlap just a little bit like this. Okay, and then it should look like this. Okay, and then we're just gonna sew again, the same length that we did before. Don't forget to trim the threads. Okay, so when you're done with that, it should look something like this. And you can choose to iron these if you want, but I'm gonna just keep going. So this half, when we folded it in half, it created a little indent. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna fold the edge right here. Here, I'll move it down. You're gonna fold the edge to the middle where we ironed it before, and we're gonna fold it back over, and then you're gonna pin it. And I will be showing you that again on the other side if that was a little bit confusing. I know the first time that I learned this pattern, I went over it like 6 times because I couldn't understand what they were saying. And it should look like this. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to fold it in half on that half line that we had before, and we're going to fold it back over. And then all done. Okay, so while we're here, for anybody who's making the elastic ones, we're going to do the same thing with the actually, I'm gonna back up there. We're gonna keep going on this one because the elastic one works a little bit different and I forgot about that. Okay, so we're gonna sew again and be sure to be really slow with this because these seams are going to be seen. And if you have a thread that's a different color, you have to be even more careful because the thread will definitely be seen. Okay, and we're all done with the side pieces. They should look like this. And you see there's a little bit of extra hanging off here. And we can just cut those off because they're going to get covered later. And it should look like this. Okay, so now we have our 40-inch pieces. And you're going to find the middle of that. You're going to find the middle of your face mask. What I do is I fold it in half really quickly, like this. And if you'd like to iron this when you're ironing it before, you can do that. Okay, so I put my middles together and make sure that this is open. I accidentally closed it. Okay, so we're going to pin again across the top. And it should look something like this. Uh-oh, something just fell. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and once you're all done with this, it should look like that, top and bottom. Okay, and then we're gonna sew along the top where the two fabrics meet. Okay. So it should look like this. And now what we're going to do is, it's kind of similar to what we did on the side. What we're going to do is we're going to fold over these pieces to meet the middle, like this. And then we're going to fold that over. And then we have this little strap. It's all starting to come together. Okay. I usually like to start from the middle of the mask and then go to the edges. Don't know why, just makes it easier for me. Oopsies. Okay. And if you wanted to, the pattern that I shared before, you could always trace that onto a piece of paper. And if that's easier for you, then you can do that than measuring it out every time. It probably would be easier for me, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. Okay. While you all are pinning this, for those who are doing the elastic, you're also going to be pinning. Let me find my piece. Okay. So you're going to be taking a 10-inch piece and you're going to be pinning it onto here and to here, and you're going to sew it again. And we're actually not doing the sides yet because we want to keep those clean for when we put the elastic in. So pin those here, and you're going to sew that. So for everybody else who's making straps, we're going to continue to pin this. And when you reach the edges, what you should do is fold over the end and then fold it again. So that way, by the time that we're done stitching it, it will have a nice finished edge and it won't fray. Okay, we're going to fold over the edge again. Here, hold on. It's fraying a little bit already, so I'm going to cut that off. So we're going to fold over the edge, and we're going to fold it again, and then we're going to pin it. Okay, we're almost near the end. So we're going to sew this again. And this time you're going to make sure to backstitch so it doesn't come out. I haven't been backstitching most of the time. A lot of you seamstresses will wonder why I haven't been doing that. It's because all of this stuff is getting covered up. So this is really the only time we have to backstitch so it doesn't fall out. If you want to backstitch, that's fine too. Mine's being a little stubborn with me right now. Okay, so when you're done with that side, it should look like this. The edges are all nice and finished. And what you can do that can be helpful for some healthcare workers is making the two sides different fabrics. So that way they know which side they put on their face so that they don't turn it around on accident and put the side that's been facing outward towards their face. Yeah, so you're just going to repeat the same thing on the other side that you did on this side. So for everyone who's doing those, you can just do that again. But for everyone who wants to do elastic, I'm going to show you how to do that on this piece. So take your 10-inch piece of 10-inch by 1.5-inch fabric, and you're going to pin it onto the long side of your fabric. And it should look like this. And now we're going to sew it again.
Holly, just so you know, Mrs. Ricker sent you a message saying you're doing an awesome job. So she's super proud of you.
Thank you. Okay, and then you're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, and then we're going to fold it back over, and the same thing that we did on the other mask where we folded it over, we're going to do again. It's pretty similar, you just do the steps a little bit out of order. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat. Okay, and then we're going to sew it again. Okay, so you will sew both sides, but I am going to finish that up later. So just like we did on the other mask, we're going to cut off the excess on the edges. And then we're going to take our 6-inch pieces again, and we're going to pin them on the side. And if you wanted to, you could just do the side pieces instead of the upper and bottom pieces. But I like it looking kind of finished. So it's just whatever you prefer. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to sew right up here, and you're going to fold it over, and you are going to do the same thing that we did before. But this time, we're going to take some elastic, and I like to measure out about 8 inches. And we're going to cut 2 of those. And then you're going to pin, when you sew, you're going to pin this on here so that it gets caught by the thread. And then it should look finished when you're done. So you're going to pin it on like that, and you're going to sew it on. And don't forget to fold over the edge pieces like we did on the other fabric, on the other straps. So it looks like this when you're done. And you're going to do that to both sides. So for the interest of time, I'm going to show you all how to do the tie blankets now. Just hit something. So if there are any questions regarding the face masks, feel free to leave them there. But I've got some fleece fabric right here. So I've got 2 sides together, and I'm going to show you how to cut them. So tie blankets are really, really easy. You don't need to sew or do anything for them. You just need to know how to cut with scissors. Okay. So starting from the edge, I like to do about 1/2 inch for the length of these, and for the width of them. And then you're going to measure out about 4 inches. And then, oops, I'm starting on the edge. I totally forgot. So actually what you're going to do is you're going to take about 4 inches by 4 inches, like so. And you're going to cut those off the side pieces. So on all 4 corners, you're actually going to cut out a little square like this. And then you're going to take your gauge and measure out about 1.5 inches. And you're going to cut down to that 4-inch line again. And then you're going to tie. It's pretty simple. There's a lot of tie blanket kits that that you can get, and it already has the provided lines for you. So this is a way to do it on your own if you want to buy your own fleece. Just match up the sides, take about 4 inches. You can do whatever you want, really. It's pretty simple. And if you have any questions, don't forget to leave them in the chat. So I see we have some questions. Okay. Oh, you're welcome. I've had a lot of fun teaching you all of you how to sew. Yeah, so if you have some fleece at home, you can make a tie blanket. We're all done for today. This will be posted, so if anyone has any questions, I will try to answer them as fast as I can on the page. Don't forget to reach out to your local hospitals before making these masks and see what their recommendations are and what their restrictions are. Some people want the elastic, some people want the straps. Some people need a filter inside, so it all depends. The internet's a wonderful place, and if you have any questions, you should be able to find some information on there. And yeah, I've had a wonderful time with all of you. If you have any questions, again, don't be afraid to leave them on the Facebook page.